hello, good to see you. Welcome back to Global Edge News TV, your go-to source for the latest viral news shaking the world. Today, we're diving into 4 massive stories dominating headlines. From high-stakes diplomacy in Asia to economic turmoil and bold policy moves in the US, we've got it all. Buckle up as we break down Russian President Vladimir Putin's landmark visit to India, President Trump's latest pardon-sparking debate, the US's sweeping immigration ban on 19 countries, and India's rupee plunging to a record low. Let's jump right in. On December 4th, 2025, at exactly 7:42 p.m. local time, Russian presidential aircraft number 1 touched down at Palam Air Base in New Delhi. What happened over the next 48 hours has been described by the Washington Post as the most consequential diplomatic visit of the year so far. This was the 23rd India-Russia annual summit, but it felt more like a family reunion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally received Vladimir Putin on the tarmac, something he almost never does, and the two leaders shared a 12-second bear hug that instantly went viral. Why does this matter so much? Context. This is Putin's first visit to India since the Ukraine war began in February 2022. It comes just weeks after President Trump threatened secondary sanctions on any country buying Russian oil above the G7 price cap. India is now the largest buyer of Russian crude in the world, over 2 million barrels per day, saving Delhi roughly $9 billion in 2025 alone. During closed-door talks, the two leaders signed 28 agreements. The big ones? A 10-year extension of military technical cooperation. Think more S-400 systems, BrahMos missile co-production, and possible Su-57 stealth fighter collaboration. A roadmap to hit $100 billion annual bilateral trade by 2030. They're already at $65 billion this year. Nuclear energy. Russia will help build 6 more 1,200-megawatt reactors in India. Payment systems. Both countries agreed to expand rupee-ruble trade to bypass the dollar completely in another 18 months. Putin's exact words at the joint press conference: "No external pressure will dictate the nature of Russia-India relations." Translation: a direct message to Washington. Western analysts are furious. CNN called it a slap in the face to the rules-based international order. Meanwhile, Indian strategic affairs experts say Delhi is simply playing realpolitik. Cheap energy today, strategic autonomy tomorrow. One moment summed up the mood perfectly, when Modi publicly called Putin "my dear friend Vladimir" and thanked him for standing with India in difficult times. That line is now trending across Indian social media with over 8 million views in 24 hours. Switch to Washington, and a story that has both parties losing their minds. On Tuesday, December 3rd, 2025, President Donald Trump quietly issued what the Department of Justice is now calling the single largest batch of individual pardons in modern history, 37 in one day. The two that exploded everywhere. Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar of Texas and his wife Imelda, who were facing 14 felony counts, including bribery and money laundering linked to Azerbaijan and a Mexican bank. Real estate tycoon Timothy Leinweke, indicted just last year by Trump's own DOJ for rigging bids on a $1.2 billion sports arena. Cuellar's statement after the pardon: "This proves the charges were always politically motivated." Critics fired back immediately, pointing out that Cuellar was only 6 House Democrats who repeatedly voted with Trump on border security and deportation bills. Since January 20th, 2025, Trump has now issued over 1,900 pardons and commutations, dwarfing any previous president in their first year. The list includes over 1,500 January 6th defendants, the mass pardon on day 1, multiple former lawmakers from both parties, business allies facing DOJ scrutiny, even a former Democratic governor who endorsed Trump in 2024. Legal scholars are sounding the alarm. Harvard professor Lawrence Tribe called it the most dangerous expansion of the pardon power since Nixon. Conservative outlets like The Federalist defend it as draining the swamp of weaponized prosecutions. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt's response yesterday was, "President Trump is keeping his promise to end the witch hunts." Democrats are already drafting articles of impeachment focused solely on abuse of the pardon power, though with the current House majority, they have zero chance of passing. Bottom line, these aren't just paperwork, they're political grenades with the 2026 midterms exactly 23 months away. While the pardon drama unfolded, another bombshell dropped from the Department of Homeland Security. Effective immediately, December 3, 2025, the United States has suspended all immigrant visa processing, green card adjudications, and naturalization ceremonies for citizens of 19 designated countries of particular concern. The full list: Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Syria, Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, Myanmar, Eritrea, Burundi, Nicaragua, Haiti, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Zimbabwe, and South Sudan. This is not the same as a travel ban. Tourists and students can still apply in some cases, but anyone already in the multi-year green card pipeline from these countries just had their dreams frozen indefinitely. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem told reporters, "We are pausing immigration from places where we cannot properly vet applicants because of war, terrorism, or collapsed governments. America will no longer be the world's dumping ground." The ACLU filed an emergency lawsuit within 4 hours. Federal Judge James Robart, remember him from Trump travel ban 1.0 in 2017, has already scheduled a hearing for next week. Early estimates say at least 400,000 pending applications are affected. Thousands of interpreters who served alongside U.S. troops in Afghanistan are once again in limbo. Internationally, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees called it a devastating blow to resettlement programs. India is watching closely because several thousand Indian Muslims with pending family reunification cases from Yemen and Syria are also impacted. Trump himself posted on Truth Social last night, "I promised the biggest and most beautiful border security in history. Day 320, and we're delivering." The post has 2.8 million likes as of this morning. Finally, a crisis that every Indian feels in their pocket right now. On December 4th, the rupee breached the unthinkable 90-to-1 level against the US dollar for the first time in history, closing at 90.43 before recovering slightly to 90.12. That's a staggering 18% fall from the 74 level we saw when Modi started his third term in 2024. Why now? A perfect storm. Unrelenting FII outflows. Foreign investors pulled out $17 billion from Indian stocks and bonds in the last 60 days alone. Dollar strength. U.S. Federal Reserve signaling no rate cuts until mid-2026. Trump's threatened 60% tariffs on countries with trade surpluses with the U.S., and India's surplus is $46 billion. The pain is real. Petrol crossed 110 rupee per liter in Mumbai yesterday. iPhones and other imported electronics are about to get 12 to 15% more expensive. Study abroad dreams for hundreds of thousands of students just became much harder. The RBI has already burned through $28 billion of reserves trying to defend the currency this quarter. Analysts at Goldman Sachs now forecast 92 to 93 by March 2026 if nothing changes. On the flip side, exporters, especially IT, pharma, and textiles, are quietly celebrating the most competitive rupee in decades. 4 continents, 4 seismic stories, all unfolding in the last 96 hours. This is the new normal of global news in 2025. Faster, louder, and more interconnected than ever. Which of these stories affects you the most? Putin-Modi bromance? Trump's pardon spree? The immigration freeze? Or the rupee and free fall? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you want daily deep dives like this, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. We drop a new 15-minute global roundup every single day. Until tomorrow, stay informed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.